California, the land of dreams, sunshine, and ocean view real estate so expensive it became a national punchline. But in 2025, that golden glow is starting to dim. Behind the palm trees and postcard views, something is breaking. Home prices that once soared on hype and heat are now stumbling on reality. And in 10 major cities, the signs aren't just subtle, they're flashing red. It's not a soft landing, it's a shift. One that could leave homeowners underwater, buyers sidelined, and entire neighborhoods redefined by silence instead of sold signs. Let's not pretend this came out of nowhere. Rising insurance costs are gutting affordability. People are moving out faster than they're moving in. Inventory is stacking up while demand quietly evaporates. And those million-dollar homes, some might not even break even by 2026. The headlines are still catching up, but if you know where to look, the cracks are right there. In empty open houses, price-cut banners, and once-hot zip codes now cooling off by the week. So before you sign anything or assume your home is bulletproof, take a pause. Because we're about to count down the 10 California cities where the housing market is falling fast. And your zip code might just be next. Sacramento, California's capital, once offered a middle ground promise. Not quite San Francisco, not quite rural, but just enough city buzz at a more affordable price. And during the 2020 to 2023 surge, people bought into that dream hard. Developers broke ground like there was no tomorrow. Entire blocks sprouted overnight. And remote tech workers priced out of the Bay moved in droves. But in 2025, that wave has turned. The city is sitting on a mountain of unsold homes, and prices are falling faster than most expected. Redfin data shows an 11% year-over-year decline in median sale prices, and some neighborhoods are feeling it even harder. Take Natomas. Once a beacon for first-time buyers, it now looks like a ghost suburb in parts. Rows of new homes sit empty. One couple who bought at $650,000 just 2 years ago, they're now listing at $540,000 and still waiting. Quiet exits are everywhere. Remote workers are packing up, tech layoffs are spreading, and even rental demand is slipping. Sacramento didn't just overbuild, it overpromised. And now it's learning that demand driven by FOMO can disappear just as quickly as it came. The capital isn't crashing, but it's definitely cracking. Riverside used to be the back pocket answer for Southern Californians priced out of LA. More space, more sun, and just enough commute to make it work. But in 2025, that promise is unraveling. What was once an affordable option is now slipping out of reach for many. Warehousing and logistics jobs, once booming, have plateaued. And without that employment engine, the buyer pool is thinning. Layer on interest rates hovering around 7%, and suddenly even modest homes are sitting longer than ever. A 3-bedroom that sold for $580,000 in 2022, it's now listed at $490,000 and still struggling to draw a second showing. Investor interest has dried up too. During the frenzy, Riverside was flooded with flippers and rental arbitrage. Now, those same investors are quietly backing out, slashing prices, and offloading properties they poured money into just 2 years ago. Some are facing the hard truth. The homes are now worth less than the cost of their renovations. Inventory is stacking up. The price cuts aren't strategic, they're survival. Buyers aren't biting, and sellers are getting desperate. Riverside still offers the sun, but in 2025, it's shining down on a market that's cooling fast and no longer immune to the correction sweeping California. San Diego has always had that postcard appeal. Sunset cliffs, ocean breezes, and million-dollar views that convince buyers to stretch beyond reason. But in 2025, even the dreamiest zip codes are showing signs of fatigue. Luxury homes, once snapped up by foreign buyers and second home seekers, are lingering longer on the market. International interest has dried up. Wealthy investors from Asia and Europe who once parked cash in La Jolla estates are pulling back, wary of a shaky dollar and volatile policy shifts. And while the views haven't changed, the economics have. The median household income sits around $89,000, yet the average home price is still pushing $900,000. That math simply doesn't hold anymore. Insurance premiums are compounding the issue. Coastal properties now carry annual policies exceeding $10,000, and some carriers have started walking away from new applications entirely. Even high-income renters are getting cautious. Relocation interest from tech hubs has slowed, and those who were once willing to pay premium rents are now waiting or downsizing. CoreLogic data shows a subtle but steady erosion in month-over-month prices. For a city nicknamed America's finest, it's a tough moment. Not a collapse, but a correction that's creeping in, and reminding everyone that even paradise comes with a price when the market turns. Fresno wasn't built to boom, but for a moment it did. During the housing surge, this Central Valley city became a magnet for families chasing entry-level homes and investors chasing margins. Developers rushed to meet the moment, pouring concrete across farmlands and selling the idea of affordable California. But in 2025, that momentum has reversed. Wages haven't kept up. Many local families still earn under $60,000 a year, and the spike in interest rates turned monthly payments into financial burdens almost overnight. Mortgages that once felt manageable now feel suffocating, and for some, unlivable. The hardest stories are behind closed doors. Families who stretched for a forever home in 2022 are quietly packing up, handing keys back, or listing just to breathe again. Nearly 18% of Fresno listings are properties that fell out of contract, buyers backing out, sellers recalculating, deals crumbling. Investor flips have flooded the market, but the demand that once propped them up has thinned. The middle class that made the surge possible is now priced out again, but this time there's nowhere lower to land. In Fresno, it's not just about numbers. It's about people who bought into a future that the market no longer supports. The cool down here isn't just economic, it's personal. Bakersfield always lived at the mercy of oil. When prices spiked, the city surged. When they dropped, so did everything else. In 2025, the pendulum has swung hard. Energy jobs have thinned out, unemployment has crept back in, and the housing market, once temporarily lifted by out-of-town investors, is slipping through their fingers. During the short-term rental gold rush, buyers scooped up properties for Airbnb dreams. But now tourism has slowed, regulations are tightening, and those same homes are hitting the market again. Fast, discounted, and often empty. What's left behind feels hollow. Dead listings line once buzzing neighborhoods. Price cuts are no longer strategic. They're a lifeline. Buyers are wary, lenders are tightening, and sellers, they're stuck. They owe more than they can sell for, but waiting isn't working either. Many can't refinance. Others can't even find tenants. The optimism that fueled Bakersfield's mini-boom has evaporated into hard decisions and sleepless nights. It's a painful reminder that a housing market propped up by one industry and a wave of speculative buying can't hold forever. In Bakersfield, it's no longer about how much your home is worth. It's about whether anyone still wants it. From here, the pace picks up, and the warning signs multiply. Long Beach is where the cracks begin to deepen. Once seen as a stable coastal market, it's now bleeding listings, especially in the condo space. Renters who once drove demand have exited en masse, leaving behind high vacancies and landlords slashing prices just to compete. The oversupply isn't just inconvenient, it's triggering a broader decline. Buyers sense weakness, and that perception is pushing values down faster than sellers can adjust. In Stockton, the echoes of 2008 are impossible to ignore. Debt-to-income ratios are dangerously out of balance. Many families locked in homes they could barely afford when rates were low. And now that payments have ballooned, the math no longer works. Short sales are creeping back into conversations. It's not a collapse yet, but it's looking and feeling painfully familiar. Modesto's situation is just as fragile. The job market, once propped up by warehousing and regional commerce, is slowing sharply. Developers overextended into suburbia, assuming the migration would last. But in 2025, those sprawling new builds are sitting empty. Days on market are up 130%. Price cuts are automatic. And then there's San Bernardino. High crime rates paired with rising insurance premiums have created a toxic mix. Even discounted listings can't draw stable buyers. Lenders are wary, buyers are gone, and the stigma is growing. But as shaky as these four cities are, they're still just part of the picture. Because the one place seeing the steepest drop, the most dramatic shift from boom to correction, is still ahead. And it's a city that was once untouchable. San Francisco was never just a city, it was a symbol of innovation, of wealth, of impossibly expensive square footage. But in 2025, that symbol is cracking. The steepest fall in California's housing market is happening right here. In a place that once felt immune to correction, remote work reversals have emptied once prized condos, commercial vacancy have gutted downtown, and tech layoffs have rattled the very foundation of the city's economy. What used to be a $1.3 million starter home? Now struggling to clear seven figures, and that's in Noah Valley, not the fringe. Even Goldman Sachs revised its outlook, calling San Francisco's trajectory a prolonged recalibration. But behind the headlines, it's the silence that says the most. Streets once filled with startup energy feel muted. High-rises that were booked out years in advance now advertise month-to-month leases. Buyer demand has collapsed, especially among the international and investor class that once propped the city up. Now many are selling at a loss or holding out, hoping the fall isn't as far as it seems. But it is. San Francisco defined value for decades. Now it's watching that value drain away, one listing at a time. The fall from grace isn't theoretical anymore. It's happening, and it's steep. California's market isn't dipping. It's shifting, fast and unapologetically. What felt like untouchable value just 2 years ago is now being renegotiated street by street. If your city made the list, you're not alone. And if it didn't, are you sure it shouldn't have? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. This correction is already rewriting the rules, but not every city is falling. Some are holding strong, even rising. Next week, we'll look at the 10 markets that might still have room to grow. Subscribe if you want the data, not the sales pitch. See you there.